Welcome to MMA on the Rocks. My name is Bill Welker. You are listening to episode 252 of the podcast, or you're joining us live on Facebook or YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and set your notifications so you can join us when the show goes live, like right now. We missed the episode last week. Today is Sunday, August 22nd, for anybody keeping track. I promise you I had a good reason. And we're going to get into UFC Vegas 34, Jared Cannonier versus Kelvin Gastelum. Before we get into any of that, let me introduce, all the way from New Jersey, sporting a golden tan. Of the two of us, I'm the one who lives in the Sunshine State, but Jeff is the one with the tan and waiting to endure a hurricane. It's Jeff, the animal, Wilson. Jeff, you're looking fine and golden, my friend.
Thanks, Bill. It's all from coaching soccer practice, because we do it out. Obviously we're outside, and I roasted like an almond this week. And Bill, I'm waiting for a hurricane. Like, what has happened? You're the one who lives in Florida.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Somebody flipped the script on these two states, I think. Yeah. I'm a little disoriented, Jeff. So I changed the studio layout, right? Now I'm facing the opposite way. Like I used to face north, now I'm facing south. You can see I've got, these bottles in the background, and it's just weird because now the wall's on my other side and I feel just out of sorts, but that's not really important for anybody listening, especially just audio. But there's that. So last week we did not record an episode. It was my fault, and I was being a little bit cryptic in past weeks about having to travel up to New York to take care of some personal matters. Unfortunately, my grandmother passed away. So I went back to New York to attend the wake and funeral and just be with family. Obviously, it was a really crummy time, but I luckily was able to go up there a few weeks ago to say goodbye and visit her while she was in hospice care. Never an easy thing. I had to go up there, and wakes and funerals are always tough. Almost 10 years to the day, about 9 years and 11 months from when my grandfather, her husband, passed away. So all in the same funeral home, same church, same cemetery. They're buried right next to each other now. I had to stand at the same podium to do a Bible reading there. So, all the kinds of things you have to do to establish closure. And it's never easy, but she was the toughest woman I ever met in my life. Marie Maffucci, my grandmother. And I love her very much, and I'm going to miss her. And she's reunited with my grandfather in, wherever it is that waits for us after this life. And my grandfather taught me a lot of what I know in terms of being able to do things, being handy. He was a carpenter and a machinist, and he drank Dewar's, Jeff. And Dewar's, for me, for whatever reason, is just one of the roughest alcohols. Like, I just feel like you could start a lawnmower with it, But that was Grandpa's drink, and now that he and Grandma are back together, I'm going to have this little toast to them. So here's to you, Grandma and Grandpa. Grandpa used to drink the white label. I went for a sample size of the 18 year, so it would be a little bit smoother. Grown ass man, Jeff. I still can't I still can't hack it with the Dewars. Nobody could handle it like Grandpa. That was a real man. I still got some work to do.
Yeah, well, Bill, my condolences to you and your family. And I understand. So I wasn't trying to bother you too much while you're up here. I figured you wouldn't have time anyway. But Bill, my condolences to the Welker and the Maffucci clan. But don't worry, Bill. I'm gonna get down there. I hope when my business is concluded with the girls soccer team that I'm coaching, because I think we can make a deep run this season, and we're gonna have a cigar in her honor, dude.
Sounds good. I don't know how she would feel about that, but it's funny. I'll just tell you a quick story about my grandparents before we get into the MMA stuff. When I was a kid and I was growing up in New Rochelle, Jeff, I couldn't go anywhere without running into somebody who knew my grandparents. They would, and this was before Facebook. So, the recognition is based only on, I guess, them showing pictures that they carried in their wallets. And it would be embarrassing, you don't want to be associated with your grandparents. That's not cool, right? So everywhere I go, oh, you're Alan Marie's grandson. And it's like I felt like frustrated with it and embarrassed. Like I didn't have my own identity. Like, hey, I'm my own person. But then as I got older, Jeff, and had a kid of my own and met a lot of people all around the world, I realized that there's not a lot of people who are worth bragging about knowing. And my grandparents were both those kinds of people where, everybody wanted to let you know that they knew them and they wanted to be, I guess, included in their circle in whatever way possible. So if that's making a connection with the grandson or, a niece or nephew or something like that, they wanted to go out of their way to do that. And I wish I learned to appreciate that about them sooner, but I do appreciate it now. And looking back on it, realizing what incredible people they were. And I just hope that I can, raise my daughter in their likeness and teach her a lot of the things that they taught me. And, yeah, so that's my thoughts on that. Just a little reflection on life, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And Bill, at least you're raising your daughter. My sister drops her kids off here every single day. So the TV is raising them. So.
I think your grievances about your sister are like some of the things that cheer me up the most.
Bill, I'm just being honest, but yeah, dude. Bill, I got to tell you, not to change subjects, but I've been working out a little bit more, because I'm running around with the girls, and I'll jump in and play with them sometimes.
Let's clarify.
Yeah. When I say jump in with the girls, I coach a girls soccer team for everybody.
Right. So you will jump in and play soccer.
Yes.
Okay.
Of course, after they're done warming up, I don't warm up. Right. That's lame. But
right.
I also have them go into the weight room because we've been doing double practices all summer. So part of our second practice, we'll go in the weight room and I get my work in. Bill, I've been feeling really good lately, dude. Like, I've been eating a lot better. I feel like I've slimmed down a little bit. My clothes are fitting a little looser. So, Bill, I've been feeling good. Because after the season's done, I want to say December, January, probably after the holidays, I want to go back to jiu-jitsu, man, because I miss it. But I want to be ready for it. Because I don't think they're going to be ready for when I come back, Bill.
That's right. You're bringing that hurricane. It's going to be worse than the one that's about to hit New York in a little while. It's so funny watching like people in New York like scramble around to get groceries and stuff. It's like that's what you're supposed to. And what's funnier too is like everybody trying to leave New York to come move here, and it's like, well, at least you get the weather if you haven't left yet.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's the last I'd say the last like decade. around this time, we've gotten more and more hurricanes, which at first I wasn't used to, but now I'm like, it's probably not going to be as bad as Sandy. So that was probably the worst one we've had. So I don't think we'll get anything that bad. Hopefully not in my lifetime.
Yeah, that was a pretty brutal one. I was working in the fire department in New York at the time, and that was a rough night. I actually, so a tree fell on a house, Jeff, during that storm, and I don't know if I ever told you this story, but it split the house in half. Right, so everybody, they were able to get out of the house in time. I don't know where they were, but they had their cat inside the house, so we couldn't let them go in. Obviously, because there's a hazard. There's a tree in the middle of the house. It looked like something out of Jumanji.
Jeez.
So I went in to the house with a few other firefighters, and I found the cat, and I brought it outside. So whenever I tell people that I was a firefighter, the wise assy question is always, oh, well, did you ever rescue a cat out of a tree? So technically I did.
I mean, there was a cat in a tree involved for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think it counts. I mean, I rescued a cat out of a tree house, you could say. But I did it nonetheless, Jeff. I checked it off my bucket list, and, I was able to move on from the fire department after that.
Oh, man.
I'm like, I guess there's nothing left to do here. I've done structure fires and, car accidents and all that stuff. Like, finally got the cat out of the tree. So there was that. But that was a scary time. I remember being up all night going on calls. And then for weeks after that, we used to, as a courtesy in the town, we used to go and pump people's basements when they would flood. So, if their sump pumps weren't working, stuff like that. Not something that anybody has to worry about in Florida because there's no basements here. I guess probably for that reason, because of all the tropical storms, it would flood too much. Plus, you can't have anything subterranean here because Florida is basically just like sand that they started building stuff on. All right, Jeff. Shall we talk about some MMA? Because I know we're pressed for time today, and I know you didn't catch the entire card. You were catching up on some rest last night, but you were able to go back and watch some of it this morning. So we have UFC Vegas 34, also known as UFC on ESPN 29. So I wish they would just like make these numbers align, because I never know like what's going on and what what hashtag we're supposed to use or whatever. Anyway, middleweight contenders Cannonier and Kelvin Gastelum go the distance, and Cannonier coming away with the unanimous decision. I scored it a little bit differently, Jeff. I don't know how you saw it. But before we get into the fight, Kelvin Gastelum almost missing weight. So that's a problem, man, because he's already moved up from 170 pounds and not allowed to fight there anymore, according to Dana White, which is probably where he should be, a more natural weight class for him. Jeff, I can hear whatever video you're watching.
No, those are my sister's kids in the background.
Oh, okay.
Again, nobody's raising them, so they don't know to use their indoor voice inside.
You gotta really drive that point home, huh? So Gastelum almost misses weight. 15 pounds above, where he probably should be fighting at 170 pounds, and has lost 5 of his last 6 now in this weight class. Give me your thoughts on that before we talk about the actual fight, Jeff.
Well, give me that stat again. How many fights has he lost at 185?
He's lost 5 of his last 6. And he almost missed weight for this one.
Yeah, Bill, it might be time to cut ties here, man. It feels to me like Gastelum, ever since he won the Ultimate Fighter, I think he hasn't taken the sport seriously. Whether it's because of the raw talent that he has, I don't know, but it just feels to me like it's whatever to him. And I don't know, man. I don't see the caliber of his matching up with what the UFC wants in their fighters.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. I think if the work ethic matched the natural ability, we probably would have seen a champion out of Kelvin Gastelum. If he could have gotten his nutrition in order, stayed at 170 pounds, I think he's a real problem there because he would be a big welterweight. There's some really cool matchups for him there. It just and he had his moments at middleweight. He didn't look terrible last night, and I'll get to how I scored the fight in a second, but it's just against the elite of the division. He's just too small is what it came down to, but he's got a hell of a chin. He's really well-rounded. He hits really hard. Like he can hit as hard as any middleweight there is. But he's just a little bit undersized. And I think that's all it comes down to. But to get back to scoring the fight, so I actually I scored 1, 2, and 5 for Kelvin Gastelum. But the second round, I'll admit, was close. I could see Cannonier winning it. I also would have given Cannonier a 10-8 in the third round for that knockdown, just because it was a flash knockout. If Herb Dean were a little trigger happy, he could have stopped it. He could have come in after Kelvin bounced off the canvas, like a cartoon. Herb Dean would have been within his rights to get in there and stop that. You don't want to see Cannonier bum rush him and then Gastelum take a bunch of damage. So that's why I would have given a 10-8. So the way I scored it, it would have been a draw. And I wouldn't have been disappointed with that. I thought it was a great fight. I thought it was an awesome main event that capped off a really exciting card. But give me your thoughts, Jeff, and how did you score it?
Bill, I'll be honest with you. I only gave Gastelum the first and second rounds. I felt like Cannonier just had more output and was landing the bigger shots in rounds 3, 4, and 5. But yeah, dude, that knockdown, I think it was a right hook that dropped Gastelum in the third round. I had some big points for Cannonier in that third round. Gastelum can take a shot, but I think that would have put down anybody else. So I could see the third round going 10-8, but I only gave Gastelum rounds 1 and 2. But maybe if I go back and watch it, I'd think differently. But I think the decision went the right way at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not mad at it either way. It was such a close fight and it was so competitive that I don't think there's a wrong way to go about it. I'm sure a lot of you listening feel differently, and I'm sure you're going to let me know. So please go ahead and leave me some comments, send me a message on social media at MMA on the Rocks, however you want to do it. It's just, man, it's so tough because, obviously Gastelum had that really close fight with Adesanya, so he can hang in this division. Maybe he just needs to put on the right kind of weight to stay here. I think, he's only 29 years old, I think. And he's going to have the Jose Aldo syndrome where Jose Aldo is like the Benjamin Button of MMA, where it's like the longer he's around, the younger he gets. It's like he's moving into his prime now. But Gastelum is pretty similar. You feel like he's been around for so long. But he was only 20 years old when the Ultimate Fighter aired, and that was 10 years ago. And what I've always liked about Kelvin Gastelum is he would just find ways to win fights that he was never supposed to win. And he almost did it last night. I think he's still a draw. He's still a popular fighter. People are still going to want to watch him fight. But he needs to figure something out, man. Either put on the right kind of weight to stay at 185, or take 6 to 8 months and get the nutrition right and get the weight down so you can get back to 170. I think Kelvin Gastelum could take one fight at 170 and then walk into a title shot. I don't know. Do you think I'm way off base with that?
Now, but I don't think you're. I'm trying to remember if Gastelum won the Ultimate Fighter at 170. He might have won it at 185 and then dropped down to 170, which I thought was a great move. By the way, I thought him going to 170 was awesome. But
Yeah, because he beat Uriah Hall. I do think that season was at 185.
yeah, and then he dropped to 170. I thought it was a great move for him. I thought he looked great at 170 when he could make the weight.
Right. I think the last fight he had at 170 was against Tyron Woodley. And I'll always remember that because Woodley was supposed to get like 20% of Kelvin's person, and he let him keep it.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Stand-up move by Woodley. And I guess that good karma's coming back around because he's going to get a big payday to get in there and box some YouTube guy at the end of the month.
Yeah, but Tyron Woodley's the best rapper around, Bill, so he's already getting paid.
Yeah. You know who the 5 best rappers alive are?
It's Tyron.
And you know why, Jeff? Because he spits hot fire.
Oh, man. Bill, do you think our younger viewers are going to get that reference?
No, but I don't give a shit. It's, we do this for us. The fact that people enjoy it is just a bonus. I get to sit here every week, get some kid-free time, have a few drinks, talk to my buddy about fighting. Like, this is awesome. Speaking of which, Jeff, I have my other channel in the works. I've already started recording some content for it, and secured the social media handles for what I believe will be the name of the show. I'll reveal it in the coming weeks, and it'll probably launch sometime end of September, maybe October. I want to get a bunch of content recorded for that, and so then I could start releasing an episode every week without having to record an episode every week. But and that'll be more whiskey based and interview based, and I'm going to do some other fun stuff because I decided, as much as I love doing the MMA stuff, I want to keep creating content that's kind of independent of that and is a little more evergreen, less time sensitive, so to speak. All right, so I know you have an opinion on the co-main event. We scored the main event differently, but I think we are pretty aligned on the co-main event here. Marco Madsen and Clay Guida. Madsen coming away with the split decision victory. I thought Sal D'Amato was the only one who scored this one right and scored it for Clay Guida. It was a close fight, and while I was watching it and scoring it for Guida, I had a feeling that the judges would be scoring it for Madsen because he was the one pressuring, and Guida had his back against the cage the whole time. Even though I thought he was scoring more points and he was doing significantly more damage, he didn't get taken down by an Olympic silver medalist in Greco-Roman wrestling. So that's a moral victory right there. I scored this one for the Carpenter. I know you did as well, Jeff, but give me your thoughts on it.
Yeah, Bill, I was when they called a split decision, I was thinking, all right, that's fine. I thought it was a close fight, but when the announcer got to the third judge's card, and said 30-27, in my head I was thinking, all right, I didn't score a 30-27 for Clay Guida, but whatever, I'll take it. I think he won the fight anyway. And then he said still undefeated. I was like, no, absolutely not. I don't know what fight they were watching. Maybe I could see the first round going for Mark Madsen. But after that, it was all Clay Guida, dude. The second round, he came out very explosive, was pressuring a lot. And the third round, I felt like his output was so much higher than Mark Madsen's. And, Bill, the only position where I could see Madsen having an advantage really was the clinch. I felt like Madsen was doing a lot of work in the clinch, and Clay Guida couldn't really figure out how to get out of those spaces effectively without taking too much damage. So in that aspect, I felt like Madsen was doing really well in the clinch, but outside of that, I felt like it was all Clay Guida, man. The output, the forward pressure, I felt like all of that was for Clay Guida. I really felt like he won that fight. Maybe not 30-27, but I gave him at least rounds 2 and 3.
Not a 30-27, but Madsen.
Sorry, Bill, you cut out there. All I heard was you saying not 30-27 and then Madsen.
Oh, yeah. I said I definitely wouldn't have scored it 30-27 for Guida, but I think that's more realistic of a score than 30-27 for Madsen. It's hard. It's hard to be mad at Madsen. I mean, obviously, it's not his fault. He didn't judge the fight, and the guy's been through a rough time the past few months. You know, he broke his jaw in his last fight, which he won, and still came out of it with a broken jaw. And they tried to put a metal plate in his jaw, and it didn't take. So he had to have a few surgeries after that, and then, you know, his wife was diagnosed with a really bad illness, which I don't want to misspeak and say what it was when I honestly don't remember. But, you know, that's obviously a really hard thing to deal with. It's hard to focus on, you know, doing a sport that requires you to be selfish. You know, you have to put in those training hours and that road work, and you know, you have to worry about your diet and what you're putting in your body. And, you know, if you have anything going on that takes your focus off of that, it makes everything that much more difficult. So, you know, obviously a really strong-willed individual that he was able to do that. I mean, the guy's an Olympic champion for a reason, because he just has that mindset. But, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, Clay Guida won that fight. So, congratulations to Madsen. You know, I think he got away with one there. Parker Porter beat the living shit out of Chase Sherman for 3 rounds. Pretty much after the first round, he did whatever he wanted to with him. Chase Sherman looked like a grappling dummy in there. You know, Porter was beating him up on the feet. He would take him down. He would rough him up there. He was going for Kimuras, key locks. Easily came away with a unanimous decision. I'm surprised the fight was not a stoppage, because it was a very one-sided beating. Saidyokub, Kakhramonov put Trevin Giles to sleep. Give me your reaction to this one, Jeff.
Yeah, Bill, this fight was absolutely bonkers, man. First round was all Kakhramonov. Also, I believe this fight was short notice, so Kakhramonov missed weight by a few pounds, Bill, but I think we could let it slide because it was short notice. But dude, absolutely nuts, this fight, man. Kakhramonov comes out in the first round. His grappling is sick, by the way. So it looks to me like he's going to tap out Trevin Jones. He locks him up in this tight guillotine. Jones is able to kind of just, you know, ride out the storm. And in the second round, it was Trevin Jones who ended the round on top, actually. And Kakhramonov started off really well. His grappling was good, but he looked like he got a little bit tired. And Jones ended up on top at the end of the second round, had Kakhramonov mounted. So I was really worried, actually. I thought he had run out of gas, Kakhramonov, starting that third round. And then towards the end of this third round, Bill, I guess Trevin Jones just got a little bit lazy with one of his takedowns, and Kakhramonov cinched up that neck, man. And Jones actually tapped, but it was on the side that Herb Dean just couldn't see the hand come down for the tap. I don't blame Herb Dean at all, actually, for missing that. I think just the positioning was weird. But, dude, credit to Herb Dean, because he saw that Jones went out, like right after the tap. Jones went out, and he pulls Kakhramonov off of Jones, and Jones actually starts falling back, and Herb Dean catches him and just pulls him forward so his head doesn't slam against the mat. But Bill, this is you, and you told me to go back and watch this one, Bill. I took your advice, man, and definitely recommend this one to go back and watch. What a fight, man.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there were even some better ones on the prelims that I'll talk you into going back and watching as well. Yeah, the catch by Herb Dean, it was good, but then he kind of like yanked him and his head snapped backwards. So hopefully his neck isn't injured. And you got it right. You said Trevin Jones. I think I said Giles earlier. I think when I saw Trevin, it just like that's the name that clicked for me. But yeah, Kakhramonov, he's going to be a problem, man. This dude's a beast, and he comes out of Uzbekistan, I believe. And in his post-fight interview, he said that the fighters from Uzbekistan are coming, and he's just the first one. So apparently, this is going to be a new wave. You know, we've had some surges from different unlikely areas in the past few years. You know, we've had Poland, 2 UFC champions out of Poland. The Georgian fighters are coming big time. We got one of them headlining an event next week in Giga Chikadze. You know, obviously, you know, Brazil and Ireland and United States have been up there for a while. Mexico has, you know, gotten their first Mexican-born champion within the last year. So, and Mark likes the graphics. He says we've gone next level. I'm just starting to figure this out, Mark. It only took me 5+ years of podcasting. I figured out how to share the screen. I might have some other tricks up my sleeve today too. But yeah, Uzbekistan, put it on your radar. You know, go look at a globe and figure out where it is that these fighters are going to be coming from. Exciting stuff. Vince Pichelle and Austin Hubbard. Did you catch this one, Jeff?
No, unfortunately.
All right. So Austin Hubbard, super talented fighter, very well-rounded, came off of Dana White's Contender Series, bit off more than he could chew with Vince Pichelle. Just too experienced of a veteran. This fight was competitive in the first round and a half. And then, you know, Pichelle just made it ugly, man. He turned it into a dogfight, and it was awesome. He put it on this young kid, and let him know that he's not ready for the big dogs yet. Alexandre Pantoja, rear naked choke victory over Brandon Royval. It made me tired watching this fight, Jeff. You caught this one, yeah?
No, Bill. I only caught the main event, the co-main event, and Kakhramonov versus Jones. You're gonna have to talk me through the rest of the card here.
Oh, all right, fair enough. So Pantoja getting the rear naked choke victory in the second round. Man, the scrambles were insane in this fight. There was leg locks. They were taking each other's backs. They were, you know, wrestling against the cage. It was a wild fight, very fast pace. And then Pantoja calls out Brandon Moreno. Moreno was sitting ringside, I guess, doing the Spanish broadcasting. So he accepted. It was the most respectful call out for a title ever, because Pantoja was like, Brandon, you know, I like you, but you know, we need to fight for that belt. And Moreno was like, okay, let's do it. Like, he's such like a nice guy. So that was cool. Austin Lingo, unanimous decision over Luis Saldana. So Saldana was beating the shit out of Lingo in the first round, like just doing whatever he wanted to him, just points on points on points, right? And then at some point, he injures his foot, I think, and then his gas tank just emptied, and Lingo just, you know, he just kept coming, man. Saldana was hitting him with everything and the kitchen sink, and Lingo just walked through everything. And I think it was really frustrating for Saldana because, you know, he was doing whatever he wanted to this guy. He had his hands down. He was going to the body, to the face, hitting him with big shots. And, you know, when it didn't work, it just, it just sapped all the energy out of him. He hurt his foot. And in the third round, Saldana was like barely in the fight. Like it almost could have been stopped just because of his behavior, how he was acting. He was like couldn't hold his hands up and like not engaging at all in the fight. Brian Kelleher, unanimous decision over Domingo Pilarte, who looks like Pilarte looks like if Luis Pena and Kenny Florian had a baby, is what he looks like. I would pull up the picture here, but I don't want to lose what I have. Maybe I can. Can I do that? Let me see. Look at this, Jeff. It's a small picture, but I got it there.
All right. Yeah, I see the Kenny Florian features for sure. And then who was the other fighter you said he looked like?
Luis Pena. I say that because of like some of the facial features, but he has like the red beard. So you got to see like a recent picture of him. I'll post it. I'll post a side by side later. Slumerican 989. Thanks for joining in live. Says we're the best and always misses a live show because of work, but listen on Spotify. Well, thank you for listening and thank you for joining in live. We appreciate everybody who listens, no matter how you do it. Brian Kelleher impressed, but was dominant. Are we live on Twitter too? Did that actually work? Yeah, I guess we're live on Twitter too. No, it was just a happy accident. I just like clicked a button and I realized I could do that now. It was all by mistake, which is pretty much how this podcast exists, Mark.
It's pretty much how my sister lives her life. Oh, sorry, Bill. Did I say that out loud? My bad.
Yeah, you did. Jeff, I've never had a bad word to say about your sister, but I so enjoy hearing you have many of them.
Bill, she's not as cool as your sister is. Your sister's awesome.
That's true. She is quite awesome. As a matter of fact, so is my brother-in-law, because I'm going to be going back up to New York in a few weeks, Jeff. I'll give you the details on that when we're off the air, but he decided to go out looking for some bourbon, and he picked up like 3 of the rarest, like coolest bottles. He picked up Colonel Taylor, which happens to be one of my favorite. I have an unopened bottle on this shelf behind me that I don't even want to open. A Stag Junior and a George T. Stag. If anybody is a bourbon nerd out there, you'll know how rare those bottles are. But he went out and found them, so I knew I let him marry my sister for a good reason.
Yeah, dude, that's right up Dave's alley, man.
Yeah, just like finding and he got them all at the same store. He said the guy didn't even know what he had in there, so like he just took advantage.
Nice.
And I'm proud of him. I'm proud that he married my sister. Okay, so the rest of the fights, Jeff, you need to catch these last 4. Josiane Nunez and Bia Malecki. This looked like a physical mismatch. It looked like Malecki was going to destroy this poor girl. And all of a sudden, Nunez just like channels some kind of inner Mike Tyson and just lands these giant bombs on Malecki and knocked her out right at the end of the first round and like put her down hard. Like you that with the female MMA fighters, but this Nunez, she's got some punching power, something to behold. Awesome first round knockout. Then William Knight, first round knockout over Fabio Charant.
Bill, you cut out on me. I don't know if it's because of Hurricane Henry. All right, so for everybody listening, Bill's internet cut out, probably because of Hurricane Henry or Henri, however you want to pronounce it. Oh, here's Bill.
I'm back. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's all this technology I'm doing. I overloaded the system. we're streaming on 3 platforms now. This is uncharted territory. Yeah. So William Knight does like this crazy backflip after he wins the fight, and then just starts screaming. And Daniel Cormier said he was too afraid to get in the cage to interview him. It was pretty awesome. William Knight is a thick dude. He's got, I don't know. He wears like the tights fight kit, like the tight shorts, and the dude's thighs are like each the size of my torso, Jeff. Like, I don't know how this dude gets those tights on, but I also don't know how a man that size can do backflips, but here we are. So that was an impressive knockout, another first round knockout. The most impressive performance of the entire night, Ignacio Bahamondes against Roosevelt Roberts. This was a clinic, man. And if you look at it, Bahamondes was bleeding a little bit. He didn't look like, it didn't look as one-sided if you just looked at his face, but this was a one-sided beating. And he was unloading on Roosevelt Roberts, hurt him to the body really bad, kept going up top, body, head, body, dropped him with a liver shot at one point, and a few spinning back kicks to the midsection. So by the end of the fight, Roosevelt Roberts is holding his arms down because he doesn't want to get hit in the body anymore. And Bahamondes lets off another spinning back kick. And this one, it was unlike any spinning back kick I've ever seen because it looked like it was going to the body. Like the trajectory of the leg was going to the body. And then at the last second, it rose up and cracked Roosevelt in the head and put him out cold. Like he was out for a long time. It was a highlight reel that's going to be a highlight reel for the rest of this young man's life and probably longer. It was the best overall performance on the card and by far the best finish. So you're talking about a card where 2 people were choked unconscious. So that just huge praise for Bahamondes, man. That's a scary dude in this lightweight division. And, you know, people need to watch out for him. Because he's so good, so technical. And Roberts was having such a hard time on the feet, he wanted to bring him to the ground because he thought he would have an advantage there. Couldn't take him down. So that's that. Mark says the graphic says spinning wheel kick, but it should say assassination.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was it. It was like a sniper. You have to go back and watch that fight, Jeff. And then the last one you need to watch, Ramiz Rahimaj puts Sasha Palatnikov unconscious. Another technical submission with a rear naked choke in this one. And what I liked about it is he started out with a modified grip, Jeff. So a lot of people go for, grab the bicep and then the hand behind the head, this grip here. Mm-hmm. But what I like better is the modified grip where you have one arm around the neck, you clasp your hands, and then you kind of use your forearm as a lever and pry it into the shoulder blade. And that's what puts the pressure. I like it so much better. Not just in jiu-jitsu, but for MMA especially, because you have the gloves on. So sometimes it's hard to get the hand behind the head. And I feel like it's easier to defend. It's a lot harder to defend the modified grip. So he had the modified grip, switched to the regular grip with the hand behind the head, and then went back to the modified grip and then really cranked it and put Palatnikov to sleep. It was an awesome finish. It was really cool. So you need to go back and watch the first 4 fights of the night, Jeff, because I was like, this is amazing. This is like the greatest card in a long time. And it always seems to be that way, like whenever there's a week off from the UFC, you know? It's just like whenever there's a week off from MMA on the rocks, the next episode is the best episode ever.
Yeah, dude, Bill, I went out. A few friends of mine had a cookout. Bill, I regret going now. Like, this card was awesome.
You should. Those are horrible friends. And, you know, they either need to start watching UFC or you need to just cut them out of your life.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to stop hanging out with everybody altogether.
Yeah, that'd be a good move. But yeah, this card was fantastic, man. Up and down, like great main event, exciting co-main event. It had great grappling. It had spectacular knockouts, great debuts. You know, we had a title fight established in Pantoja and Brandon Moreno. Like, I don't know what more you could want from a card. And Cannonier, you know, seems to think that he should be next in line for a title shot. We'll see. You know, Adesanya and Whitaker have to handle business. You know, Whitaker has a win over Cannonier. I think Cannonier and Adesanya would be a fun fight for parity. And then, you know, we got to see what's next for Kelvin Gastelum too. I don't think he's going to get cut, even though his record is pretty poor over the last 6 fights. Because he just fought in a main event, but you know, he's going to start making that slide down the card, and that's a slippery slope. All right, let's take a look at next week before we wrap things up here. Oh no, this one's not zoomed in. What do we do, Jeff? How did I fix this last time? Like this?
Yeah,
there it is.
There you go.
All right, now we're cooking with grease, kid. All right, we're gonna figure this out. All right, here we go. UFC on ESPN 30, which will be UFC Vegas 35, I guess. This is one of the last ones at the Apex, I think. Edson Barboza and Giga Chikadze. I'm so excited for this fight, Jeff. These are two explosive, dynamic strikers. Nobody's going to want this one to go to the ground. Man, I can't wait for this one. Like, I'm really excited for this main event. Give me your thoughts.
Bill, oh man, I don't see this fight going to a decision, dude. If it gets out of the 3rd round, I'd be shocked because Barboza is lethal on the feet, and Giga Chikadze has proven that he's pretty effective everywhere. And I think a lot of people, dude, nobody's lining up to fight Giga Chikadze. You know, that's a fight where if you get that call, you usually say no and pray for the best that you don't get like cut or something. But dude, I've been looking at the rest of the card and it looks really, really good. But anyway, Bill, what are your thoughts on the main event? And then give me a couple of picks here.
Yeah, I'm so excited for it. You know, Chikadze is really starting to find his rhythm in the UFC, and he's really starting to get acclimated to MMA and get more comfortable in there. You know, which is hard to do coming from kickboxing because you have so many habits that you developed over so many years that are just bad for MMA. You know, we've seen many examples of high-level kickboxers who, you know, just couldn't figure out, you know, how to put it together in the cage for whatever reason. What's his name? The K1 guy is one that I'm thinking of that came over and just kind of fizzled out so quick. He fought Khalil Roundtree. Khalil Roundtree knocked him out.
Oh, him. I can't remember his name.
Why can't I think of this guy's name? Somebody think of this for me. In any case, but Chikadze's, you know, he's putting it together, man. Israel Adesanya is another example of someone who was able to figure it out, you know, translate all that kickboxing experience to MMA. Stephen Thompson, obviously another one, high-level kickboxer who was able to make that transition and do it successfully. I really like the Kevin Lee, Daniel Rodriguez fight. I think That's going to be an interesting one because Kevin Lee is, technically such a great fighter, but, struggles when guys don't quit in there. And don't expect Daniel Rodriguez to quit on you. Kevin Lee is one of the best fighters on the roster when things are going his way. But as soon as they're not, is when he starts to struggle. We got Gerald Mearshart against Mahmoud Muradov. That'll be a fun fight. My sleeper fight pick, Jeff, Abdul Razak Al Hassan against Alessio Di Chirico. That's going to be another striker's delight on this card. And that's going to be a really fun fight. Really excited for that one as well. Dustin Jacoby and Darren Stewart should be fun. And Pat Sabatini, Jamal Emmers on the early prelims. That'll be another fun fight to keep your eye on. A lot of unknowns on this fight. The co-main event, Brian Battle and Gilbert Urbina, under 20 fights combined. So, but as we saw this past weekend, sometimes those are the best cards. Give me your thoughts, Jeff. What's popping off the page to you?
Oh man, dude, I really like Di Chirico versus what's his name? Hold on, sorry. Because I have the card.
Al Hassan.
Yeah, Al Hassan. That looks like an awesome fight to me. Bill, that was gonna be my sleeper pick, but you took that one. Hold on. For some reason, it's not because I'm looking at it on Wikipedia, and for some reason, the Al Hassan versus Alessio Di Chirico fight is not on here. That's weird. Hopefully, it's still on. I like Ricky Tercios versus Brady Highstand. Kevin Lee versus Daniel Rodriguez, I think, is going to be a really fun fight.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Alvey making a quick turnaround. I feel like he fought like 2 weeks ago versus Wellington Turman. Like you said, Dustin Jacoby versus Darren Stewart is a good fight. Bill, this card, I'm not going to lie to you, Bill, this card looks really, really cool.
Yeah. Solid card. I'm excited. Yeah, so that will be that. I believe this is the last fight at the Apex for a while. And
Bill, is this the tough finale card? That
No, I don't think so. Is it? No.
That's what it's saying on Wikipedia here.
Oh, is it? Oh, maybe it is. I fell off with this season of Tough, Jeff. I couldn't do it, man. It was just too boring. Like, It was too much like, oh, I showed up and I'm training, and then they talk about nothing, and then there's one fight. And it's like they tried to make a little friction between Volkanovski and Ortega, but they were both just too, like, kind of quiet and awkward. So it was just weird. I fell off. I cut out after like 3 or 4 episodes. So yeah, maybe this is the Ultimate Fighter. And I was one of the people who was excited to have it back, but I would have liked to see like, Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal coach, or like Israel Adesanya and Darren Till. Like, that would have been a fun season. It would have brought some, breathed some life into it. Yeah. So I got to wrap it up here, because I have plans that I need to not be late for. So is there anything else you want to get off your chest, Jeff?
Yeah, Bill, just remind everybody about the promo we got going on with our friends at Team Reaper.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So if you want to grab yourself MMA on the Rocks t-shirt, hoodie, or tank top, you can do so at reaper1.co. Use the promo code MMAROCKS10. That's MMAROCKS10. And save yourself 10% on anything on the whole website. Of course, we appreciate if you guys want to buy our merchandise, but they got a lot of other cool stuff on there as well. So go check them out. And that's about it. If you guys want to get a hold of Jeff, you can do so at animal_Wilson. Twitter and Instagram, and you guys know how to get a hold of me. It's at MMA on the Rocks everywhere on social media. And let me see if I can cue up this outro video here.
Bill, I haven't seen this, so this is gonna be
Okay.
this is gonna be a surprise for me. I was busy. I was so busy when you sent it to me. I forgot to go back and watch it.
It'll be a surprise to me if it works. Until next time, cheers, everybody. Bye. And oops. Bye.